And just focus on your breathing. Allow some time for your breathing to slow down and get deeper. Observe the movements that come with the breathing, the expansion in the torso as you inhale, and maybe a sensation of settling back and down in the hips as you exhale. And you can just feel into that, or you can seek to actively accentuate it. Maybe as you exhale, you nudge your hips back a little. Maybe as you inhale, you inch your hands forward. Active or passive as you like. What's your energy this morning? If you notice your breathing, notice your energy. Notice how you're feeling. And then in the more mundane or mechanical sense, notice how you're feeling. Scan your body. Check out how all those wonderful parts are doing. Making particular note of anything that seems out of whack. There's some stiffness or soreness. You can imagine sending your breath to those places, sending some ease, some opening where it's needed. And make mental notes of what doesn't feel good so that you can keep it in mind as we practice, and you can take care of yourself, knowing that you have the option of modifying or skipping any part of practice in order to suit yourself, in order to accommodate what you've got going on. Good morning, our other friend joining us. We're starting in child's pose, just tuning into our breath and scanning our bodies. And I was just saying my standard opening bits about the freedom to skip or modify any portion of the practice. So we're all different. We've all got different bodies. We've had different mornings, different histories. What's right for me might not be what's right for you. So I want to help you find the practice that's best for you, and it doesn't have to be exactly the same for everyone. So these are our general shared intentions: listening to our bodies, taking care of ourselves. Whenever our attention wavers, we can just gently come back to noticing our breathing, noticing what's going on in the body. And many folks like to set their own intention for practice, something more specific to you, more personal. If that's your jam, now is the time to think about that and let it come into focus. Let that intention sink in for a few breaths before we begin to move from our opening posture. And before we start to move around from here, let's take 3 deep cleansing breaths. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth with a sighing sound. And nice and slowly inhale, bring yourself forward and up. We'll make our way to table. Let your hands open way up. Feel the whole palms grabbing the floor. Bring your shoulders over your wrists and your hips over your knees. Inhale, draw your heart forward. Let your head and tailbone go up. Cow pose. Exhale, draw your heart up. Let your head and tailbone come down. Cat pose. And just follow your breath. It's okay if we're not breathing at the same rate. Your breaths might be shorter than mine. They might be longer. Who cares? Let's all breathe. Let's all move. See if you can use the whole inhale to come forward. Use the whole exhale to go back and up. After your next exhale, come back to the table with your back parallel to the ground. And we're going to explore a rocking movement. Exhale, sit back like child's pose. Inhale, glide forward. So you can keep your hands planted, or if they want to shift around, let them shift. Exhale back and inhale forward. And maybe as you come forward and things open up, your hands inch forward. Maybe your shoulders start to go forward past your wrist. Maybe drifting sort of loosely towards cobra. Just feel into the movement. Don't worry about the shape of the thing. As much movement as your body wants. So bodies open at different rates. Maybe you're going further forward than me. Maybe you're not going as far. Doesn't matter. And let's make our way back to table. Square everything off again. And explore some circular movement. So you might think of leading with the hips. Exhale, sink back towards your right heel. Drift over towards your left. Inhale, come forward to the left and over to the right. It's like a barrel roll. And if it's too much to focus on that inhale on the forward half of the circle, exhale on the back, just let the breath go and focus on exploring the movement. And at some point, change the direction of your circles. Maybe you already did. Then let's come on back up to table. Reach your left foot back, press into the ball of your foot. Feel for your heel moving out away from your tailbone. With an inhale, pick your foot up, reach straight back like you want to make a footprint on the wall. With your next inhale, reach your right arm forward with your thumb pointing towards the ceiling, fingertips reaching for that wall. If you want to go further here, you can bend that raised leg, reach that hand back, see if you can grab your foot or your ankle or maybe just your pant leg and kick against your hand. If you connect, lift your gaze, open the midline, stretch the quads, open the shoulder. Release the bind. If you've got it, let your knee and your hand down. And if you don't have the bind, you're still stretching your quad by bending your leg there. Reach back, press into your right foot. Take a couple breaths, pressing against the floor. With the next inhale, pick your foot up and reach straight back. On an inhale, reach your left arm forward. So picture those limbs parallel to the ground. Picture the fingertips and the heel reaching for the wall. If you like, bend that leg, reach back, and if you can, take that bind, that additional stretching, make sure you're breathing. And exhale, release, and come down. Step your left foot up between your hands. Step your right foot up between your hands. Hang out in your forward fold, exploring movement, swaying back and forth. Soft knees, heavy arms, heavy head. Maybe they're small movements, maybe they're bigger. Options here. Some folks like to hold their elbows like this. Some folks like to interlace their fingers behind the base of the skull. Some traction for the neck. If your hands are doing something else, let them hang down again. Slowly shake your head no. And nod your head yes. Inhale, lift up halfway, press your hands to the front of your legs, and push with your hands. Feel for the crown of your head reaching forward, away from your tailbone, your back, lengthening out parallel to the ground. With an exhale, relax down. Inhale, roll up to standing, flow your arms overhead, bring your hands to touch. And exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Let your hands hang at your sides. Lift your left shoulder towards your ear. Think of the bones moving, like you're moving your skeleton. Shift back, let it down. And the right shoulder, lift it up, send it back, let it down. Inhale, reach for the wall. Spread your wings. As you exhale, come to eagle arms or grab your shoulder blades and take a big breath. If you're in eagle, you can reach your elbows and your hands up and out, further opening the space between the shoulder blades, the wing muscles. Maybe eagle's too much and you just hug your shoulder blades. We're all hug deprived in the pandemic age, right? Inhale, spread your wings. Sometimes the only hug you get is the self hug. Exhale, cross your arms the other way. Hugging yourself is better than nothing. It's not as good as hugging somebody else, of course. Inhale, spread your wings. Exhale, let your arms come down. Inhale, out and up. Interlace your fingers overhead. Now interlace them the other way. Everybody's got an intuitive way to interlace and a counterintuitive way, and it helps mental agility to do it the counterintuitive way. Keep the brain a little more active. Flip your palms towards the ceiling. Look up at those hands. Lift up your heart. Depending on how open you're feeling, maybe your hips drift forward, maybe your head and your hands drift back. See how much opening your heart wants here. With an inhale, slowly come upright. Exhale to bend to the right. Feel for length through both arms. Try not to let the left shoulder curl forward past the ear. So sometimes we start to go like this. No, you're not getting as much of the stretch we want. With an inhale, come up to center. As you exhale, go over to your left. Still feeling for length through both arms. Inhale, come up. Exhale, let your arms down. All right, let's start into some sun salutations. So, depending on how your setup is, maybe you're at the top of the mat, maybe you're at the back. Doesn't matter to me. Well, because in the Zoom age, sometimes we're mixing up. Instead of stepping back to plank, we're walking the hands forward to come to plank. And instead of stepping forward from down dog to forward fold, we're walking the hands back. Do whichever you like. Variation's good. Inhale your arms out and up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, fold forward. Plant your hands and make your way to your plank. And I like to spend a few breaths in the first plank. Anytime we're in plank, you can lower your knees and make a shorter plank if that's better for you in that moment. Hips coming down in line with the shoulders and either the heels or knees, depending on whether your knees are up or down. Feel the grounding in your hands. Feel the lengthening in the back of your body. When you inhale, think of your heart reaching towards the ceiling. Exhaling, slowly lower all the way down. How slow can you go? Find the strength in the slowness, but don't stop breathing. Maybe you need to inhale again if you go real slow. Everything down. Uncurl the toes. Rest the chin. Press into your hands. Inhale. Lift your head and chest. So maybe it's just a low cobra like this, baby cobra. Listen to your low back. And these are all heart openers. Go as high as you want to. Maybe it's a higher cobra. If you feel really open, maybe it's upward dog. Exhale, rock back and up to downward dog. Maybe you pass through table to get there. It's a nice gentle transition. Walk your dog. Pedal your feet up and down. You can always take child's pose for a couple of breaths if I'm in down dog too long for you. I won't stay here terribly long. But these are relative terms, right? Make your way from down dog to forward fold. Stepping feet forward or stepping hands back. And inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, pull down. Inhale all the way up. And exhale, hands to heart. Inhale up. Exhale down. More fluidly this time. Inhale halfway up, maybe less talking. Exhale down. Plant your hands, step back to plank. On an exhale, lower halfway this time. Inhale, bring your heart forward, drop your knees if you like. Exhale back and up. Make your way from down dog to forward fold. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, come down. Inhale all the way up. And bring your hands to your heart. Inhale straight up through center. Exhale, swan dive down. Inhale halfway up. Exhale down. Plant your hands and step your left foot back. Runner's lunge. Tense your fingers. Inhale, reach forward and up. Crescent lunge. If you feel wobbly, reposition your feet and maybe get less wobbly. Exhale, sink forward in your hips. Draw your arms down to cactus. Inhale, glide up. Make sure all 10 toes are pointing the same way so the back knee is bending in a safe manner. You're not on the wrong side, I am. I forgot to mirror when I reoriented myself. Then from the top of that movement, let's twist. Reach your right hand forward and your left hand back. So if you're on a mat, run your arms parallel to the mat. If you're not on a mat, no shame. Inhale, come back to center. You want to keep your feet and legs in the same place. Twist to the right. Come on back to center. Exhale, bring your hands down. Step your right foot back to meet your left. Nod your head. Shake your head. Make your way to forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale down. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale up through center. Exhaling, swan dive down. Inhale halfway up. Exhale, fold down. Plant your hands and step your right foot back. Runner's lunge. Tense your fingers. Inhaling, slowly reach forward, reach up. Find your crescent, find stability in your feet and legs. And once you're stable, exhale, sink forward, arms come down. Inhale, glide up. And do 4 or 5 more. Movement and breath flowing smoothly, continuously. And then twist to the right. Come back to center. And twist to the left. Come back to center. Exhale, bring your hands down. Step your left foot back to down dog. Take 3 cleansing breaths. Let your knees come down and make your way to child's pose. And it doesn't have to be the same version of child's pose you did earlier. Whatever child's pose you like. We already talked about the options. Find the one you need. And notice the differences. Presumably, it's going to feel different than it did at the beginning of practice. Scan your body again as we did at the start. Coming to rest like this, I think of it as sort of a mini Shavasana. You can focus in, you can relax a minute, observe your breath, note changes in sensation from our earlier child's pose, less than a half hour ago. But you've done a lot of movement since the last time you were here. Your breathing has changed a good bit while we're doing those movements. When you're ready, slowly start to come out of your child's pose. We're going to drift forward and up to table and then back to downward dog again. Take your time. When you're ready, make your way back to down dog. And maybe your down dog is extended more than it was just a couple of minutes ago. Inhaling, raise your left leg up. Keep the leg long and stack that hip above the right hip and look under your left arm. And square your hip down. Exhale, draw your knee towards your left elbow and take a breath. Inhale, reach your leg up behind you. Exhale, draw your knee towards your right elbow and take a breath. Inhale, reach your leg up behind you. Exhale, draw your knee towards your chest. Send your foot over to the right side of the mat. Rest the pinky edge of your foot on the floor. So that's star pose. If you want to go further to falling star, you can bring your right hand in towards your heart, on up towards the ceiling, spinning your torso. Nice deep breath. If the right hand's raised, exhale, bring it down, ground into it. Draw your knee to center. Reach your leg way up behind. Exhale, draw your knee towards your nose, round your back, and plant your foot between your hands. Yava. Let your back knee down. Uncurl the back toes. And bring your left hand inside where your left foot is. I'm going to explore lizard pose, and I'm going to turn myself around this way. So walk your foot out to the side. Open that hip. Now listen to your body. We're all different. You might have blocks under your hands. If there's room, you might tip your leg. You might rock onto the pinky edge of your foot. And explore where you want to go. So maybe your forearms come down on the blocks or onto the floor. Maybe your hands walk forward. See what your hip wants. Maybe that right knee slides back. Sort of like what we do in pigeon. We don't go as low. A similar exploration. It's a lot more active in the front leg. And breathe. Wringing out some of the energetic residue that gets stuck in the hip region. And some of the more mundane stuff, tension in the muscles and connective tissues. Maybe easing out some fascial adhesions. And nice and slowly, we just start to rewind. So walk your hands back. Get both hands planted under the shoulders. And then if you've tilted your leg, untilt, plant the foot. Now let's switch places with the left foot and left hand so that the foot is back between the hands. Good. We're going to go back to down dog and then come here for the other side. So curl the back toes under, press into your foot to lift your knee, press into your hands and lift the leg back up. And then you want to lift the other leg up. Keep the leg long, stack your hips and look under your arm. Square your hip down, lower your leg. Nope, that's wrong. Don't lower your leg. Raise that leg again. Lost myself. Exhale, draw your knee towards your right elbow. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, draw your knee towards your left elbow. Inhale, reach up. Exhaling, draw your knee towards your nose and plant your foot between your hands. Let the back knee down. Uncurl your back toes. Start to wiggle your foot out to the side and bring your hand inside your foot. And start to explore. Maybe you rock onto the edge of your foot and the leg tips open. Maybe the back knee scoots back. See where your hands and arms want to go. And we're not all going to the same place. It's okay. See what your body wants. And one hip might be way different than the other. We observe the differences. We respect them. We don't have to try to make one hip do what the other hip did. Inviting your hips to open. Not pushing. Releasing. And take your time. We'll start to come out. Start to walk your hands in closer. If you tipped your foot onto its edge, bring the leg in, flatten your foot. Scoot the foot in and bring the hand back outside the foot. Curl the back toes under. Press into your foot to lift your knee. Press into your hands. Inhale, lift that leg way up. And exhale, let your foot down. Inhale, lift both heels. Come up on your toes. Maybe come up on your toes. Exhale, lower your heel. And now I'll confess, I know I forgot something. Let's do it. Inhale, raise the same leg again. Exhale, draw your knee towards your chest. Send the foot over to the side of the mat for star. We forgot the star. I forgot the star. And then bring your hand in and up if you want. Exhale, bring your hand down. Better to do it out of order than not do it at all. Create an imbalance in the body. Bring your knee to center, reach your leg up high, and then lower your leg. And then walk your hands back to your feet. With your arms hanging heavy right like ropes and your knees nice and soft, let your arms start to swing front to back. Let the weight of your arms pick up momentum. Let the swinging get bigger and bigger. So when you're ready, swing your arms up overhead, sit back to chair. Think of releasing down, releasing in the front of your hips, releasing in the back of your knees, releasing in the front of your ankles, staying with your breath. Inhale, slowly stand. Exhale, let your arms down. We'll do a little more with chair, because there's a cue I really like to share, because it changed this pose for me. It absolutely transformed it. I picked this up from my Alexander technique teacher. And it's about where the pose begins in the hip socket. So find your hip sockets with your thumbs just on either side of your pubic bone. And when you press into that socket, there's a feeling like taking the parking brake off your car, and your butt starts to scoot back. So that's the release, right in the hip socket. That's where chair begins. And we can come into it with the lower body and then do the arms. So press into the hip sockets, release right there. There's a similar release in the back of your knee, which you can also sort of press into. The one in the front of the ankles isn't responsive to touch like that. So now your lower body's in probably a deeper chair than it was a minute ago. Now inhale, reach up. And just think of releasing. With practice, with focus on releasing, it actually becomes sort of restful. That might sound crazy. I used to think it was crazy. But I can stand here for 10 minutes and talk about this pose. Because I've been doing it like this with this trick that Cecile taught me for years. Inhale, stand. Exhale, let your arms down. Now that was a lot for your legs. Shake those legs. Check on the time. Okay. Let's play with balancing on one leg a bit. If you know that that's challenging for you and you want to step over by the wall or step over by a chair, make sure it's not a chair on wheels or a desk, whatever you got. As somebody in one class had his vacuum next to him. I'm like, well, don't lean on that too hard. Those have wheels too. Bring your hands to your heart. Yes, and if you're on a thick mat, you might step off your mat. The more cushion you have underfoot, the tougher it is to stand on one leg. Shift your weight from one leg to the other. Now, we've done a lot with the hips today. This should go pretty well. When you're ready, drop the weight into your right leg and raise your left knee. Cross your ankle above your right knee. Dial the left knee towards the floor. Flex the left toes towards the shin. And we're going to really release like we did with chair pose. And we're not going to talk too fast and trip over our tongue. You're going to sit. Imagine you're going to sit down cross-legged. So release the front of your right hip and the back of your right knee and the front of your right ankle. Pressing your hands together, pressing them to your sternum. Make sure you're breathing. I heard somebody stop. I'm not saying who. Think of your elbows approaching your knee and your ankle. Maybe they touch, maybe they don't. Journey, not the destination. When they touch, it's wonderfully stabilizing, that contact. Sometimes one touches, not the other. And if you're down low enough and you want to, you can release your hands and hold your leg in your arms before we stand up, or you can keep your hands right where they are. Inhale, stand. Exhale, release. Down. Never said gracefully. Shake your leg. There's a neat feeling in the hip socket when you are able to grab that leg as you rise up out of the pose. It's a really cool sensation, and it looks pretty funny. It looks like you just detached your leg. Bring your hands to your heart, shift back and forth. I keep things like that in a brain file I call party trick yoga. Like when you spring from crow to plank. When you're ready, bring the weight into your left leg. Pick up your right knee. Cross your ankle above your knee. Dial the right knee down. Flex the right toes towards the shin. Pressing your hands in. Release. Release. Take your time. Finding your seat. Maybe this side's trickier. Maybe the other side was trickier. Letting go of expectation. Non-attachment to the result. Breathing. Always breathing. Sometimes we start to really focus on something like this and we hold our breath. No one knows why. It never helps. It's just one of those things we do. If you're down low enough and you like, you might grab your leg, and release. Shake, shake, shake. And let's have a seat. 20 minutes left. Have a drink whenever you want. I modeled that, but I didn't mention it before. Don't mind the ghost running in front of the camera. Extend your legs in front of you. It was great. It was just this blur. I was watching a horror movie last night. It just made me think of that. Okay, legs extended forward. Flex your toes back towards you. Inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Exhale, fold down over those legs. If your knees need to bend, let them bend. And let's use the breath to deepen the fold. Inhale, think of the crown of your head reaching forward. Exhale, think of lowering. Maybe there's some movement. Maybe they're just thoughts. Inhaling, walk your hands up the front of your legs. Use those strong arms to help you sit up. Let your arms help your legs open out to the edge of your comfort zone, wherever that is. Now walk your hands down the legs to wherever you can, wherever that is. Might be your shins, might be your ankles, might be your feet. Keeping the spine nice and long. Nice and slowly, bring your right hand over by your left hand. And nice and slowly, open your left arm out to the side. And maybe look towards that hand if that feels okay for your neck. And maybe moving your head helps your arm open more. Look at that. Take your time, bring the left hand back to the leg or the foot. Take your time, bring the right hand back over to the right. Take a couple breaths. Nice and slowly, bring the left hand over to the right. Take a couple breaths. And open your right arm and maybe turn your head. Listen to your body. Bring that right hand back over by the left. Bring your left hand back over to the left side. And walk your hands up your legs and sit up. Beautiful. Let your arms help your legs. The legs are open way up. Bring the soles of your feet together. Have them a good distance out away from your pelvis. If there's room for your hands under your ankles, reach under your ankles and grab the floor. If there's not room to do that, reach over your ankles and grab the floor. And walk your hands forward on the floor. Use your arms to traction you down into this pretzel fold. And let your neck relax. Let your head hang towards the floor. Breathe into your lower back. 4 or 5 breaths. And slowly start to scoot your hands back. Press up to a seat. Now keep the feet together. Draw them in real close. Heels in towards the pelvis. Interlace your fingers over the tops of your toes. Wiggle. Bring the bones in your seat closer to the ground. Tilt your pelvis. Inhale, lengthen up through the crown of your head. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold forward. So think long spine. Picture your spine long and straight and see how far it will go down like that. And when that nice long spine stops lowering, then release the top of the spine. Let your neck relax and your head bow. And think of breathing into your hips. And it might feel nice to nudge your legs down, nudge your hips open with your arms. A lot of folks like to do that when they get to this. Inhale, slowly sit yourself up. Let your arms help your legs. Bring your knees together, rest your feet. Place your hands by your hips. Wiggle your feet wider apart. If you're on a mat, you can go to the width of the mat and let your knees drift back and forth. Exploring the space you've cleared in your hips. Yeah, and you might, as your knees go one way, turn your head the other way. You might, if you want to go further, as the knees go down, reach the opposite hand out and out and lift your hips. You don't have to do all that, but it might feel nice. I'm going to do it a couple times on each side. Maybe it's crazy. Maybe it doesn't work for you. That's okay. Focus on the knees going back and forth. Some days that just feels so darn good to me. Bring your feet in closer. Bring your feet this far apart. Reorient myself. We're going to set up for bridge pose. Bring your hands behind you. Scoot your butt towards your heels. Come onto your forearms and onto your back. Press into the soles of your feet. Inhale, lift your hips. If you want further opening in the heart space, you could wiggle your shoulder blades towards each other. Clasp your hands under your butt and reach your knuckles towards your heels. Check in with your neck. Sometimes we scrunch our necks up here, wasting energy. Again, no one knows why. One of those silly things we do. If you're clasping your hands, unclasp them. Exhale, slowly lower down. And we'll explore bridge for a minute, each at our own pace. Inhale to lift your hips, and exhale to lower them. To challenge yourself more, you might take extra breaths at the top. You might repeat, bringing shoulder blades in and clasping hands. You can see about moving more slowly or going higher. Don't slow down so much that your breath becomes irregular. Breath and movement just flowing continuously. Inhaling up and exhaling down. And you're welcome to take extra breaths at the bottom of the movement if that's what's needed. Let's make the next exhale down be the last one, wherever you're at. And bring your knees into your chest, hug your knees, and explore rocking and rolling movements. Massage your low back against the floor. And plant your left foot again and cross your right knee over your left knee, if you can. If you can't cross your knees, you could instead cross your ankle over your knee and do that instead. Reach your arms out to the sides. Feel your shoulder blades press to the floor. And looking to keep the shoulder blades on the floor, let your legs fall to the left and turn your head to the right. And softly bring your head and knees back to center line. Cross your legs the other way. And let the legs go to the right and your head go to the left. And gently come back to center. Uncross your knees. Draw them in towards your chest. Reach your feet towards the ceiling. Reach your hands up and grab onto your legs or your feet however you like. Play with bending and straightening your limbs. Exploring happy baby pose. Small movements, big movements, whatever movements your body wants. Sometimes I like to move a lot and even tip over onto my side. Be mindful of your space, your furniture. If you're practicing with someone else, try not to crash onto the other baby. If there's a different inversion you're craving, go for it. Lots of fun ways to bring the legs higher than the heart. I'm partial to headstands myself. It's not something I've tackled teaching online. I'd rather be with you in person to help you into a headstand. It's safer that way. Maybe you already have one in your practice. And you can invert for as long as you like. Maybe you keep playing with your legs higher than your heart, or maybe you're ready for your final resting pose. When you're ready, you might come to classic Shavasana posture, legs extended, feet splayed open, hands resting by your side. But maybe that's not comfortable. It's more important to be comfortable than to be in this particular posture. So if this isn't comfortable, make yourself comfortable. Other common options, if your low back doesn't like lying flat on the floor, you might plant the soles of your feet and maybe let your knees lean towards each other. Or you might bring the soles of your feet together, let your knees splay open. I sometimes like to conclude my practice like that. Supta Baddha Konasana, reclined cobbler pose. Making any final adjustments you need so that you're comfortable. And all you really need to do is breathe. You might focus on your breathing. You might come back to an intention you'd set for yourself to reflect upon it. You might scan your body as I'm going to do, and I'll talk us through that. Of course, you're welcome to tune me out. Picture your feet and your legs heavy and grounded and relaxed. Toes pointing out away from each other. Maybe as you think about that and picture it, your hips open even a little more. Maybe the toes drifted out. Feel the grounding at your center where your butt, maybe your low back, are touching down on the ground. Feel your breath moving through your belly and your rib cage and your chest. Feel the nice grounding contact of your shoulder blades, the weight of your arms, how relaxed your hands are. The weight of your head, your neck nicely relaxed. Maybe check in with what your face is doing. Is there a little space between your teeth? A little space between your lips? Maybe you are holding some tension in your jaw and didn't know it. Is your tongue pressing up or pressing down, or is it just resting there? Picture your forehead as if you're looking down at yourself. Do you have that little wrinkle in the middle of your forehead? Are you thinking about something? Can you let that thought go? Like a cloud in the wind. Don't have to judge it, don't have to fix it. Just say bye. And even when we're totally resting, we can use the breath to deepen the posture. As you inhale, think of your spine lengthening, the crown of your head moving away from your tailbone. As you exhale, think of your body touching down again, the rising and rooting of the breath. You might even think about inhaling things that you need and exhaling things that you don't. Inhale peace, exhale worry. Inhale strength, Exhale, fatigue. Whatever words you want to use. Taking in what nourishes you and releasing what doesn't serve you. And start to find yourself some deeper breaths. Nice and slowly wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, roll your ankles, roll your wrists. Gently turn your head side to side. Any movements you like to find, these are just suggestions. Building up to bigger and bigger movements. Maybe just a little wiggle, a little wriggle. When you're ready for bigger movements, a nice, easy and gentle way to get up is to draw your knees towards your chest. Extend your arms overhead. Let the weight of your legs just tip you on to one side. It's nice to pause in the fetal position for a couple breaths. And then from there, you're positioned well to let your arms do the work. Press your hands to the floor. Make your way up to a seat, unless you want to stay lying down, which you're welcome to. If you like, bring your hands up by your heart. And thank you all for gathering to share this practice today. The light within me sees and honors and bows to that same light in each of you. Namaste. And I'll stick around for a few minutes. I always welcome questions and feedback, and we welcome people if they want to unmute if you're muted and say hi, introduce yourself. You can go to our website or our Facebook page, and there's a tip jar where you can help support us by kicking in some money for these classes until we get a more straightforward payment system up and running, which we're working on. And Kristen has mats for sale, nice thick mats with a carry strap included for $15. So reach out to us if you need one of those. Some props too, some other props for sale too. Okay. Used blocks for sale. Straps, bolsters. See, I didn't know that. I'm going to buy some bolsters for my home studio. This is good. This just in. Breaking news from Urban Yoga. Okay.